Good evening, everybody, and welcome to 2016, or more specifically, welcome to the iRacing Today radio show for January the 7th, 2016. I was afraid I was going to say 2015. I've already done it this year, but I did not. It is 2016. Chad's moving around. It's all messing me up. My name is Trevor Cameron. This is, of course, the first show of 2016 of the iRacing Today radio show, show number 126 to be specific. Again, as mentioned, my name is Trevor Cameron. That over there is an actual moving face of Chad Dalton. How are you doing, Chad? It's been so long.
I'm doing great. It's been a year since we've been here. So
I haven't seen you since last year, man. I know.
I know. How's the wife? How's the kids?
Wait, I'm not married, am I? Oh, no. I forgot everything.
You tell me.
Automated retweet for Twitch TV URL. Aw, thanks, Knight of the V5. I don't know what you are, but you retweeted us. You're awesome. Anyway, so did you have a good Christmas and a good holiday and a good New Year and all that stuff?
I did. It was lovely.
There we go. Okay, I temporarily broke you in the stream, so you actually. I was
going to say I look frozen.
You became. See, I was so used to you just being a frozen picture there. I made it happen. I willed it into existence.
Well, anyways, but yes, I had a very good Christmas, a very good New Year. It was a lot of fun. I won the New Year's air hockey tournament that we have every year at my uncle's house, and so that was awesome to finish 15 off with a victory in a tournament at air hockey, which is awesome.
Well, yeah.
And I love what Danny said. And yeah, how was yours?
It was pretty good. It was relaxing. I mean, it was nice to be off work for a bit. It was one of those things where it felt like such a short period of time, but when I started to get going again, it felt like I'd been a slug for forever. So,
Yeah.
But
So, first show of 16.
I know. And we're back. See, everybody's all like, they're going to say, look, we're going on hiatus and then we'll never see him again. Well, that's not true. That didn't happen at all. Here we are. We're back. It's 2016 and iRacing. You know what? We kind of left 2015 with iRacing being kind of a bit of a mess. And I'm not going to lie, still kind of a bit of a mess.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that a little bit. So it's second verse, same as the first here. As a matter of fact, I just tried to pull up the stats for the Winter Series before we got going, and I can't. So that's awesome. But I was about to say, I guess mess is maybe a strong term, but I'm not entirely sure that's inaccurate. They're having some issues, but that's only one of the things we're going to talk to you guys about this year, and specifically this show. This year we're going to talk about a lot of things. I'm hoping. I mean,
we have a lot of plans.
We have plans, mostly to do more shows.
Over the 2 weeks, we sat down and we had a meeting and we planned out everything we're going to talk about this year. It's like futuristic.
I really hope that iRacing keeps to their schedule, or else we're just posed. I mean,
we've got stuff planned for Le Mans.
But this show specifically, we are going to talk about some patch notes that came out. They released another update to the sim to fix some of the stuff that had been going wrong. The Endurance Series, i.e. what kind of sort of was the Road Warrior Series / special. Anyway, that's all changed around, and we've got a schedule on what you can expect for the Endurance stuff coming up. We've got some hardware information for you guys. We've got a new segment that Chad has suggested. It's something we've talked about a bit before, but he wants to make it a regular thing, and I think it's a great idea. I don't remember if we mentioned it on the air, but
Yes, we have.
Okay. I couldn't remember if it was that was a behind closed doors thing or not, but we'll be talking about that a bit. Mm. And, of course, we have our poll question results from the last poll of 2016. No, 2015. And there, I did it. I psyched myself out. And we'll talk about that, some on-track experiences, and a update on my sim rig that I'll give you guys a bit of an update on as well. So, also, Chad, for those who are listening on the audio version, you will hear none of this. But for those listening on the video, Chad is flying over the Pacific in a large jetliner at this point in time. At least that's what it sounds like.
I am right now.
Yeah. Especially when you don't
Wow,
talk,
it's-
it just whoosh.
Well, I mean, you should buy quieter planes. That's all I have to say.
Fair enough, I guess. As the owner of the team, this is actually my fault. So, but anyway, moving into our first item, and that is the Endurance Series, which is everything's changed, man. Well, remember how it was like this Road Warrior series, and they had the events, and they were interspersed? Well, that's not what's happening anymore. What's happening now, Chad?
It's just one big fat endurance thing now, I guess, if you will. So they came out with the schedule, and much to everyone's delightfulness, not one person complained about it. It went off very well.
Oh yeah, everybody says love the schedule. Thanks.
Yes, it was very well received. Yeah, I think it's great the way they've done it. Anyways, last year, most, if not all of these races came in, excuse me, in the week after the real life event, or the real life counterpart, if you will. So, like for example, the Daytona 24-hour race would happen after the week after. That is, the real life Daytona 24-hour happened. Except this year, that's not happening. It's all reversed-imified.
Reversed-imified.
Is that a word? Can I
It
make
is
up?
now.
Okay, good. So now everything is happening, apparently, anyways, the week before these races, which is not sitting well with some people. And the other thing that is not sitting well with some people is the fact that, of course, the first race in the schedule is the 24 Hours of Daytona, and they have announced that the dates for this like 2 weeks in advance, and that kind of upset people because it was like, hey, I have a family, a job, and I need to plan said races, and now I only have 2 weeks to plan it out.
Yeah.
So some people were upset about that. But that being said, the first one is the Daytona 24-hour. It will be January the 23rd and will last until January the 24th.
Because it's 24 hours.
Yay! There will only be one race time, obviously, because it is an endurance race. It will begin on Saturday at 1300 GMT, which is Saturday at 8 a.m. Eastern Time, for those of you that don't go by 1300 GMT. It will feature the GT3 cars plus the somewhat still new Corvette DP. So looking forward to trying out the Corvette, hopefully, if that's what I end up doing. It will be, and here's kind of an interesting factor, because last year it was not this way. It will be at Daytona in the night.
Mm-hmm.
Last year it was during the day.
Which is, the night. I prefer that race, at least from a visual perspective, at night. So,
Yes. So, and then, of course, it is a 24-hour race. It is team racing, and you must have a minimum of 2 drivers. After that, they're doing the Sebring. There we go. Sebring. Perhaps, is what it should be. 12-hour race. That'll be on March the 12th, and will feature GT3 cars and the Corvette DP. The Indianapolis 500 will be on May the 21st through the 23rd. It will feature 4 different start times.
Point of order, sir. How is the Indy 5 point of order? How is the Indy 500 endurance race?
Well, it depends. It is 500 miles. And, it is a very fast race car, so it can be a very tough test mentally, I guess. I don't know.
Point of order, sir. Where's the Daytona 500 then? If the Indy 500 gets on the endurance schedule, where's the Daytona 500?
Yeah, but see, that's easy.
I'm confused, is what I'm saying, by the way that they've broken this out.
I know. I think they just want to have the Indy 500. I don't know.
They're like, I don't know, the Indy car, that's kind of a road car too, I guess. Let's just throw that in there.
Well, but we'll go in a rectangle. It will have 4 race times, as I was saying, on Saturday at 1 GMT, which is Friday night, at 8 p.m. Eastern. Wow, they used really small font, and my glasses can barely see that. Saturday at 2000 GMT, which is Saturday at 3 p.m. East. Sunday at 1 GMT, which is Saturday at 8 p.m. East, and Sunday at 12 GMT, which is Sunday early bird special at 7 a.m. Eastern Time. Then they do the Nürburgring 24,
Man,
which of course
that is going to be. Like, I don't even know if I don't want to participate in that. I just want to sit down and just for 24 hours just watch that. Just watch it happen.
that's true. So Astrover spoiled it. 24 hours, and it will feature the GT3 cars to be dated because obviously we're getting some new ones in the March build, and this race will be taking place June 4th to the Jern.
We've been off for a while, ladies and gentlemen. We've actually for the last 3 weeks we've just sat around not talking to anybody to save our voices, and we've forgotten how to.
True. So it'll go from June 4 to 5, and it will be using the Nürburgring combined circuit, obviously. 6 hours at the Glen, June 25th. 24 hours of Spa Italian Grand Prix featuring the brand new McLaren MP430 at Monza for 53 laps. The Pietà Le Mans is, of course, at Road Atlanta, September 24th. Bathurst 1000. Whoop, whoop. My V8 home skillet people from the Down Under. October the 15th will feature, of course, the V8 cars at Mount Panorama for 161 laps. And that is, of course, a team racing event. And last but not least, spoiler alert, 24 hours of Le Mans featuring the HPD and GT3 cars that are to be dated.
So
we timed that beautifully.
yeah, so I'll have to make a time mark. Okay, that's how we line up our audio, and we said so at the same time. Couple things here. The one thing, the Nürburgring 24, just for my own personal enjoyment, not that it would be a fun concept, but I would like to see that run on the tourist configuration. The one where they have the big, long, you have to slow down the front stretch part, just because I think after 24 hours, people would be messing that up all over the place, and that would be amusing to me. It's like, tearing around the lap. Wait, slow down to 30. All right, now speed back up again. See, I think that would be amusing. Also, as mentioned...
For 24 hours.
I know! Wouldn't that be great? See? And as Brenton mentioned in the chat room, the 24 of Nürburgring will probably be the Nürburgring 25, as it will take everybody an hour to actually load the track in. So,
yeah, for that one, make sure that when it's your stint time, that you join in enough time.
Yeah, to actually load the bloody track in. Although, I mean, I don't know if that got better or not. I mean, like I really didn't have that much trouble with it. I mean, I've got iRacing loaded on an SSD for, not for that specific purpose, but just to kind of cut down the load times and stuff. And I didn't find it that bad. But, but I hear people are having some issues getting into there, to put it mildly.
Yes.
But
you have 2015 in our video.
dang it!
Awesome.
After all my talk about saying that.
January 7th, 2015.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Somebody could have said something. There we go. Fixed.
Somebody could have said something, but somebody was preparing to do a show.
Well, you know what?
Nobody said something.
Yeah, well, you know what? I didn't say 2015. So I mean, you got to give me some credit. Yeah.
No, I give you none. Okay,
Marty.
what's next on the list?
We got to go back.
I know.
We got to go back to January 7th, 2015. It's about Chad. Anyway, So there is your endurance schedule. Apparently, for I get out of this, the Road Warrior series is dead. I mean, I never saw an obituary, but but they that's how it reads. So, and
Yeah.
if you go to the Road Warrior forum, at least I went there a couple days ago. Maybe they changed it, but there was not there was no schedule in there. So, so I guess they'll have these over in the endurance series. I mean, I was making fun, but the Indy 500's over here with these guys, and obviously the Daytona 500 and any other of the special events they do for the NASCAR stuff will be over in the NASCAR series that they have. So that's actually kind of normal as to what they were doing before. But so I guess there's no Road Warrior series, and it's not a points thing like it was, or part of the a points series before. It's just single special events like it kind of used to be. So. Not sure why the change, but definitely there has been a change to the way things actually are functioning there. But moving right along, they made a patch. They said, "Hey, things are broken. We should fix those things." And reading at what they actually fixed, I'm not seeing a lot of everybody's computers are exploding and on fire. We fixed that. It's a lot of we made a couple of tweaks, so I think there's still a lot of fixes to be done. Like, for example, if you go to the member site, it still says you are the one and only iRacer, which begs to differ or begs to ask the question, where did our audience come from if nobody is actually using this sim?
And actually, I was just thinking 3 times on me over the break that we had there. I got the failed credentials check error and then logged out of the website, logged back in the website, and it worked. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, like, for example, and the page, and over the holiday break, wow, there you go. So over the holiday break, they had, a few issues here and there. But, like where it wouldn't load, and there was an issue here, there was an issue there. And in actual fact, I was going to bring it up on the web, on the thing, but I actually just loaded the page in and to say, hey, and if I hit the stats button, I can't even get the stats half the time. I just went to members.iracing.com and got the page. This website is experiencing some delays. Please check back to this page in a few minutes. In the meantime, simply hit the back button, or if you prefer to go to the home page, click here. So it's actually breaking as we do the show.
It's working for me.
So
I just loaded it.
It was earlier for me, too. But
I mean, I'm sitting here looking at it, and everything's great.
Oh, well, aren't you special?
Yeah, I actually am.
As a matter of fact, that is an accurate statement.
Correct, sir.
On the plus side, if the page continues to have issues, I can't do my Winter Series race tonight because, well, it's starting in 5 minutes and we're doing the show. If nobody else can, that's more points that aren't being allocated to people that are not me. Because it's actually trying to load right now and it's still not loading. So they have, man, this build is, and I kind of, I mean, you have to think that they put a lot of the framework or a lot of the bits and pieces in the background to go to that different type of interface that we're moving towards. So I wonder if some of that stuff got disattached and broken. They bent the plastic a couple too many times and it bent and snapped in half. I don't know, but it's I've never seen anything like this where it's been this rough.
Yeah, I haven't either.
I mean, the page loaded for me right now, but only half. So the top half loaded. The bottom half is completely blank. It's been rough. It's been a really, really rough loadout or rollout for this build. But anyway, so what did they fix this time in the patch notes?
Well, that depends because they had 2 patches while we were gone.
Oh yeah, I guess you're right. I just loaded up the latest one that because it just hit today. But you're right.
Yeah. So the one that they did back on, it was December the 22nd to be exact. Just like a very, very small couple of things. Some rendering updates. They did the rendering cutoff distance for track surfaces at most tracks has been increased by 1 km. So there you go. Get an extra 1 km there. They also improved the graphics auto config to set the quote video memory to use limit to approximately 128 MB less than the dedicated video memory of the GPU, rather than the full amount dedicated video memory. This is because Microsoft Windows uses a portion of the video memory for itself because it's selfish, leaving less than, or even, back up, leaving even less for the simulation, especially in newer versions of Windows, like Windows 10. The first time the simulator executes, your existing video memory setting may be automatically lowered to this new setting if it was set too high. Please do not increase it. Warning, as it will only lead to performance issues and stuttering and like all kinds of weird stuff. The setting in the renderer.ini file has been renamed from vid.memmb to video.mmmb to help facilitate this change.
Because vid is not video. Video is video.
Vid is all vid and stuff.
And as far as I understand, now this is just a rumor, but I hear that video killed the radio star. You know, just saying. Don't want to start any rumors, but, you know. You wouldn't. Yeah, it's before your time, probably. It's, yeah, okay. Over Chad's head. Let's see. What else did they fix? They fixed a bug that was causing official multi-class series with embedded qualifying to fail to reorder the starting grid to keep all cars in a class gridded together. I bet you that created some exciting standing starts.
Yes, I'm sure it did.
It's like, what do you mean? Oh, no. Just imagine the guy who, you know, a bunch of guys didn't qualify, you know, the faster cars and the, you know, the slowest, you know, guys, the only guy who actually put down a qualifying lap, and he's sitting in front of all those guys just panicking.
That would be great.
And green light just covers his head and doesn't move. They made some changes with the MP430, the new F1 car. Obviously, the DRS status can now be seen in the telemetry, so you can see what they are actually doing with the. You can monitor that in the telemetry if you're going back and looking at your laps and whatnot. DRS can now be used for lone qualifying. That's a bit of an oversight in the fact that that's wait. Okay, never mind. Okay, lone qualifying. Okay, so they must have had it proper where you could use it in group qualifying, but they had it disabled for lone qualifying. Yeah, I guess that it's not like there was an F1 rule to follow there because F1 doesn't do lone qualifying. So, a low oil pressure warning will now trigger the dashboard to enter a failure mode when the engine lets go. So I guess now all of your lights go blinky, blinky, blinky or something when your engine has exploded to indicate that everything is dead now and you should probably just pull off to the side and pull up a lawn chair and enjoy the rest of the race.
With a glass of lemonade.
As always.
That's exactly what those do.
Oh, well, okay. Does it actually dispense? You know, your engine's blown. Have some lemonade. It's okay. And then the Nürburgring.
Yes, please read this because I found it amusing.
They, and I quote, added a large, I'm putting emphasis on there, a large speed limit sign, portable toll booth, and cones for the length of the straight alongside the pit lane on the tourist config. So I guess not everybody got the memo. It took me one lap to figure out, oh, I'm supposed to slow down here. Perhaps some people weren't quite getting that. So now there's, I guess, a large sign that says, oh, by the way, slow down and pay a toll to get through here. I'm not sure how that works. I don't know if I have a button on my wheel that says throw quarter out window. But
Throw quarter. You think it only cost a quarter?
Please deposit $25 for next lap.
If you wreck your car, it may be $50. Because you're tearing up our track.
So, that was back on December 22nd, 2015, which is not the year that we are currently in. And if you read...
So last year.
if you read through a lot of that, not a lot of that says, "Oh gosh, it's on fire. We're trying our best to help." None of that really reads that. That's some tweaks to the F1 car, the new car, and a few little things to do with. I guess the major thing is the video memory stuff. So they must have fixed everything in the January 7th update.
Apparently. Rendering again. Improve the graphics autoconfig to set the video memory to use. Limit to precisely 10% less than the dedicated video memory of the GPU rather than always 128 MB less at most. So we gave you this update where it's going to be 128 MB less. But now we're going to improve that update and make it 10% less than the dedicated video memory of the GPU. See, 10% sounds cooler than 128 MB. So that's what I got out of that. But one of the things that I do like here is that they replaced the graphics options, cap, frame, Q, with a more useful version. The max pre-rendered frames adjustable from 1 to 4 frames. Typically, you should set this value to the number of GPUs in use for rendering. In most cases, that will, of course, be uno. But for SLI or Crossfire, this is often 2. Setting the limit to 0 frames disable this function completely, which is not advisable, since it will lead to increased control lag, or in some cases, stuttering. This new setting defaults to a value of 1. It is named max pre-rendered frames and render.ini file.
Okay, now that sentence. Adjustable from 1 to 4 frames. Typically, you set this value to the number of GPUs in use for rendering. In most cases, this is 1. But for SLI or Crossfire, this is often 2. As opposed to all those SLI configurations which only use 1 GPU. I mean, I guess technically you could SLI 3 of them together, but just the way that reads, it's like, hey, and if you're doing SLI, maybe you have 2 GPUs. It's like, that's the whole purpose of SLI. But anyway, I found that that read funny. But I guess that's another thing that if you are doing SLI stuff, that you are going to have to go in and change that, because obviously they're going to default to 1, as they state, because, well, I would guess probably 90% of people using iRacing or gaming in general only have 1 GPU. So you may continue. I apologize for the interruption.
Oh, well, I mean, that's okay. I forgive you. There is a new setting called parallel sorting equal 1. Has been added to render.ini file. This setting, changing it to 0, disables it. No. Changing the setting to 0 will disable the use of multi-threading during scene sorting in the renderer, whatever that means. The multi-threading optimizations are enabled by default. They also fix an issue where textures were only loading after entering, the garage when the option, in quotes, load textures when driving was set to 0 in the renderer.ini file. Share pit stalls. Sessions will now be split into run groups based on the number of starting grid stalls at the track instead of the number of pit stalls.
And then a bunch of telemetry stuff.
And then that stuff that's over in the corner.
One of these days we're going to have to get good at that so we can actually speak intelligently about it. But for now it is just a bunch of mumbo-jumbo to me about telemetry stuff. And I cannot drive a consistent enough lap to even think about looking at telemetry to help me improve my driving style. So that's why I do not really concern myself with it. But they fix an issue with the F1 car, the new one obviously. Fixed an issue where the DRS lights were not activating correctly when the control screen was active. Okay. Fixed an issue on the Radical SR8. Fixed an issue where the left side mirror was not being deformed correctly when damaged. That seems oddly specific. It's like, you've just crushed the left side of your car, but your mirror's perfectly fine.
It's not braking correctly. So we need to fix the fact that it's not braking correctly. How's that for, and an ironic situation.
We had an entire night where you couldn't host a race on the service. But man, that mirror, that was really getting under our craw.
We had to call in our engineers on a Saturday to fix that.
Oh boy. Let's see. Fixed something with the Silver Crown as far as how the weight jacker worked and how many clicks and stuff. I added some setups to the super late model. Oh, and here's another one of those for the award of why didn't you tell us this sooner? Because I'd like to have seen it. As Circuit Spa-Francorchamps removed erroneously placed pit boxes. Now, where were they? I mean, I'm sure maybe they were just a little bit off and stuff, but in my mind...
There's one over there on the hillside.
Driving up Eau Rouge, and there's just a pit box just sitting off there.
It's like, hey, pit right now. Oh, I missed it. Sorry.
It's like, pit right now. It's like, you can... Okay, I guess I could have. So, Chad, I don't... no, I don't think that's... You missed a turn. That's... You can't... No, that's not where that goes. Oh... And, of course, back to the Nürburgring. Qualifying laps that begin directly from the tourist exit on Nordschleife. Sorry, I mean... and combined configs will now correctly score the first flying lap.
Flying like a little birdie.
And fix some issues with object collision on the left side of the tourist pit lane. Well, I know that guy who was coming out of the pit lane while I was hugging the right-hand side of the road had no problem colliding with me, so that I was not obviously the problem that needed to be fixed in that scenario. So, they have made some fixes. We joke. I mean, it's one of those things. We joke because, you know, we're here to report
we entertain
the state of stuff. We're here to entertain, and also the fact that I've been here since the beginning, and this is, without a joke, the worst I have actually seen something roll, you know, a rollout of a new patch. So, you know, if you can't laugh, what can you do? I mean, you know. Also, speaking of things that were causing some problems, apparently, some people have reported that their iRacing spotter password has been reset since the latest update, and I'm guessing that was probably not this latest one today. So if you have a password set up there, go and have a look to make sure that it is set to the correct password if you use that feature. Go take a look there. I would tell you where that is, but I can't load the page to direct you there. But it's in there under settings, I believe.
Yes, actually, when you're on the press page, I guess, or whatever, whenever you get to the iRacing site, the little gear over there, you click on that, and there's like a drop-down window, and all of that spotter stuff is there.
Okay, so go check your password just to make sure that it hasn't been reset to some default or turned off, or I don't know what it was happening, but it wasn't working correctly. So we did have some hardware-related news in that does relate semi-directly to iRacing over the last little bit. Actually, well, it was technically yesterday. Yes, it was yesterday. At 9 p.m. Mountain, 8 p.m. or no, a.m., sorry, 8 a.m. Pacific time, the Oculus Rift opened itself up for pre-orders of the hardware. Now, up to this point in time, nobody knew when it was going to be released because they've been kind of, well, you know, Q1 and, you know, talking a bit about it. And nobody knew how much this thing was going to cost. Obviously, a lot of people actually use some of the early development kits for iRacing. I've talked about my desire to get one for myself in order to, you know, the concept of driving like that with that sort of situational awareness, where you could just kind of turn your head naturally and, you know, have the view as opposed to having the view on your screen change. You know, like if you had a track IR or something like that. I felt to be a more immersive experience. So it was something I was actually excited to find out. This is the first of the VR headsets that's coming to market, or the first one that has fired the shots of saying, all right, here's how much it's going to cost, and here's when you can get it. So everybody was kind of sitting back in hushed anticipation, waiting to see what the results would be. The results were, and the fact that they did not mention a price until the pre-orders went live. as if to say they were hiding something, is how it kind of came across. It's like, okay, pre-order's going to open any minute now, and when they open, then we'll tell you how much it's going to cost, and we kind of hope that you'll just make an impulse buy anyway, because, this is there's going to be some sticker shock here. So the pre-orders opened. The page had a bunch of problems. Everybody was trying to get on there. And the price for the Oculus Rift CV1, consumer version number 1, is $599 US plus shipping, plus handling, plus taxes. So the base unit is $599, and that caused a big stir in a lot of people, because that's more than I think a lot of people were expecting. I mean, you could pick up the development kits for, I believe they were in the 300 range. Everybody was kind of expecting maybe the CV1 would be a little bit more, maybe 4, maybe 5, and also people were expecting the, wow, Chad's just going crazy over there. Everybody was expecting the neat controllers that they have for it. Not that it affects iRacing, but they mentioned before the preloads or pre-orders went live that those were not coming out, so you're not even getting those in that price. You're getting an Xbox One controller, 2 games you probably do not care about, and, well, obviously the unit. I think that's about it. So that is too rich for my blood. And especially, I mean, if it had been $599 all in, Canadian, I might have sort of kind of considered it. But now that since I live up here in Canada, $599 US, thanks to our wonderful Canadian dollar, actually equates to $850 before shipping and handling, and before taxes, and before duties to get it across the border, which puts it into, you have got to be kidding me. There is no way in heck I am ever going to buy this thing at that price category. It puts it in that range. So apparently I'm not going Oculus Rift anytime soon. Not to mention the fact that my computer, as it currently stands, wouldn't even handle it. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a little bit. So, a lot of people were disappointed. A lot of people were hoping to get in on the virtual reality rage, and actually a lot of people were, for iRacing specifically, because something like that is very useful for simulation games, be it flight sims, driving sims, that sort of thing, is where the Oculus kind of shines, or triple screens, as like Chad has. So, yeah, $599, and all I had was flashbacks of back to 2006. Those who are been gamers for a while, and when Sony stood on the stage and announced the PlayStation 3 and said, and it'll be retailing for $599 US, and the whole crowd just went silent. Like it just dropped. Like, everybody's like, what? And that's kind of the feeling I got when that happened. So I wish I had the coin. I do not. So we will have to wait and see when HTC /Valve release the Vive later on this year. We don't know the price on that. There are a couple other minor ones, but really for the PC and for iRacing, it would be the Vive or the Rift. The Vive, as far as I know, at the last time I checked, searching through the forums, iRacing didn't even have the developer version of that, so they have not included support for that into iRacing. So even if the Vive comes out and it is a better deal, as of right now, iRacing does not support it, to my knowledge, and won't for some time, because they don't even have a developer kit, so they can't even start the support. Apparently the developer kits are going out very shortly for the Vive, so we'll see. Although they are marketing theirs differently, and they've kind of hinted that whatever the Rift comes in at, they're probably going to be more expensive. So early adopters, I wish you luck, and if you have the money to try this out. But I will not be an early adopter. Although I did today order a Google Cardboard little setup thing where you can put your smartphone in, and it's just a piece of cardboard that folds up in a certain way and has a couple lenses on it. So it won't help me with iRacing, but I can try out VR with a piece of cardboard stuck to my face. And that only cost me like $15. So, and maybe I can figure a way to hook in Z1 dashboard into that. I'll be driving with this stuck to my face. It's probably not the best way to do it, but man, I'll get like my fuel data in 3D. It'll be awesome.
I won't know where I'm driving, but I'll know how much fuel I need to have to get there.
But man, those fuel numbers are just popping out at my face, man. But I mean, it's apparently. I mean, like they did mention with the the Oculus, it is expensive, but based on what they're actually what they're delivering, the price probably is reasonable. They've made a lot of changes since the development kits. From my understanding, the resolution stuff has been corrected. The screen door effect. It's apparently a really cool piece of kit. I just wish I had the money to buy one. But some people will get an Oculus Rift. I have a mortgage, a wife, and 2 kids. So, we all make our choices in life.
It's a balance.
But just want to bring that up because that does affect some people with iRacing as well. So, Chad, this new segment that you suggested to us, why don't you get into that? I don't have any stinger music for you.
I don't need anything.
All right.
Shut up.
Yes, sir.
So we talked about there are a lot of hidden features, or even just settings, I guess. Not so much a feature, but just a setting that you won't see when you actually load in the simulation and then click on the options, rather, that's next to the garage, the top right-hand corner. Because they don't put them all on there, they do actually still exist. They do still exist. Sorry, I was reading a comment in the chat. It was funny. They are all thrown into an app.ini file. So basically, it's like a text or a notepad document type file. And it's just a bunch of, and go figure, text. And you can make some changes and actually make some pretty cool things. There are actually a couple of really cool ones in here that we're going to get to eventually. But I figured we'd go through here and try to list some of these on the show that you may not know about. And the one that we're going to start with tonight is just kind of a basic launch of this. Is one that I think we've talked about before, but it's been a really long time. So I figured it'd be good to revisit since we gained a lot of show listeners back in that 2015 year. And I think the last time we mentioned this was in like 2014.
Right.
So if you load up, by the way, let's back up to the start. I was going to jump ahead there. Let's go back to the start. Beep, 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 beep. If you go to your computer and you load up your My Documents folder, and then you'll see your iRacing folder. That is where the app.ini file is, in case you were not familiar. It's also where the renderer.ini file is that we were talking about earlier with all the latest rendering updates. So you load up the app.ini file, and if you scroll probably just past halfway down, if you're doing the scrolling thing, that is, you will see a section that is labeled Miss for miscellaneous. And there are 5 little things underneath the miscellaneous. The first one is Garage Auto Apply, which is where you can automatically, actually, it's where the sim will automatically hit the apply button after 5 seconds of inactivity while you were in the garage. So if you go into the garage and let's say you make a change with, I don't know, springs or something, and you kind of sit there for a moment, maybe looking at something else, iRacing will automatically say, okay, so you made this change, we're going to go ahead and apply that for you. So that's a cool one, but the real cool one, or cool ones, are the ones right below it, I think anyways, where you can kind of change the show incident messages while driving, the show player join leave messages while driving, the show system messages, and the show user chat messages. So you can kind of split all of those up so you can see exactly what you want to see and what you do not want to see. So like, for example, you may want to see every time you get an incident. So the show incident messages while driving equal 1 means that that is turned on. If you change it to a 0, it will turn it off. The show, join, leave is the same thing. 1 is on, 0 is off. So basically what that does is it shows you like Trevor Cameron connected, or Trevor Cameron has manually disconnected, or he fell to unacceptable level, whatever that is.
He fell to his doom.
Then there is a show system messages while driving, which I haven't exactly figured out which one or what that does yet, like what the system messages are. But I want, well, it might be something along the lines of like when you push the L key, at least that's by default, it shows your ping and all that stuff. That might classify as a system message. And then the show user messages, which is obviously someone typing in the text chat. So when you go into the options within iRacing, you see some of the, I think it's on the second tab over, that you will actually see where you can turn off chat messages or system messages.
Can I turn off Chad messages?
Yes, you can. But so it breaks it down a little bit more in the app file. So that's something that's kind of a hidden feature. And for me personally, just to give you guys what I run the show incident messages while driving, because obviously it's nice to kind of keep up with your 1x, 2x things. I do not show the player join leave messages because I find them very distracting, and I really don't care, just to be honest. I do have the show system messages on, and I do have the chat messages on, although sometimes I debate that one, but I leave it on. So anyways, that is the first thing that we will cover, and each week we will cover some more that you might not know about, and there really are a couple of really cool ones that we're going to get to eventually. So
yeah,
there
and
you go.
And the one with the showing the leaving and joining, I know we had the issue, and I can't say if it's it's still an issue, but I have heard people mention it as well. I know for a while it was actually causing stuttering. Like if we were out on the track, every time that message would pop up, we were getting, both of us were having, where we get this little micro stutter where when that would happen, but when the messages weren't popping up, that went away. I mean, I think I'm pretty sure that was the first time I turned it off, and I've never turned it back on again. So I don't know if it's an issue, but I have heard people in the forums actually saying the exact same thing. So if you are one of those people who is having that problem where when those messages pop up at the top, such and such is left the session, joined the session. If you're having actually stutters in your sim while that's happening, setting that to 0 and making those messages go away will probably fix that problem for you if you happen to be experiencing it. So just a side note to that as well.
Yes. Absolutely.
So let's see, a couple of housekeeping notes here. Moving forward, oh wait, hold on. I was thinking about something different, and then I was just going to say that we have asked everybody to send us in a picture of your cockpit and a general idea of your setup, just so we know what everybody out there is racing. Actually, people are actually impromptu having this conversation in our chat room while we're having the show here. Some of you have already done so. Thank you very much. So continue to do that, and we will mention, like I said, we'll put together something. I still haven't figured out the logistics of it yet.
Something.
Well, we'll put together something to show off those, your guys' rigs in the beginning of February. So send those in before the 1st of February. I'm thinking about just having a separate show that's just the show off the your rigs show, and then actually have the actual show later. I don't know what we're gonna do, but keep sending those in. And obviously a quick little shout out to your specs as well, just so we know what everybody's doing. Chad's having a grand old time over there, man. He's just smiling his face off.
You gotta read the chat.
That's not what's happening here.
Yes, it is, man. Nim Cross just won the internet. See?
Nim, you just ruined the show. You just distracted both of us. Well done, sir. Well done. For those who are not in the chat, this is the first time we've actually had Chad's camera up for weeks and weeks and weeks on the show because of his internet situation. So we've had a still image up. I've been putting up random images to represent Chad over the weeks, and Nim just came in. First thing he says in the chat is, "That's the worst image for Chad I've seen. Hope he gets his camera up soon."
Yep. Oh, man.
So, oh boy. Let's see. You mentioned here, we did have the last bit. We had a few more people come in with the non-favorite tracks and goals. I remember one that came in specifically that got sent to my spam messages by mistake, so I wasn't able to actually mention that. Unfortunately, I forgot to bring... There it is. I found it. And that was from Scott Dunlap. And for some reason, he gets spammed. I don't know if it's because his email address is weird, but he states that his least favorite tracks are Thompson, the Irwindale Outer. I'm kind of with him on that, although I've actually had some decent races there in the late model, but I'd never really... There's something about the way that track is shaped that always messed me up. And Monza. So those three tracks are his least favorite tracks. The first two are one-lane nightmares for me, and Monza, I'm lost. I cannot get comfortable there. You're not the first person to actually mention that, Scott. Yes, sir? Question from the gallery.
No, I was agreeing. That was
the testify,
agreeing.
brother, sort of.
I'm testifying that yes, this is true.
You know, I don't actually think... Come to think of it, since it actually came on the service, I don't think I've actually tried the actual Monza circuit. Like, Monza came on, I bought it, I found that giant oval, and I played around with that. I don't think I've ever actually gone on the road course there yet. So, perhaps I would be lost as well. I don't know. And he says that his goal is to win a championship in a dirt track car. Well, Scott, I got bad news for you. Apparently, Scott's planning on hanging out with the sim for a while, unless, of course, we will now officially make this dirt confirmed in iRacing, because Scott's going to win a championship.
Well, I'm pretty sure that snow is confirmed because iRacing did tweet out a picture of a car driving on a track, and there was snow falling. So we're getting snow, apparently. So,
oh, well.
You know, dirt shouldn't be that much more difficult.
Well, technically, he did say that he wanted to win a championship in a dirt track car. Now, the sprint car, now when it goes in a dirt configuration, they put that big old wing on it, but technically it's a dirt car. So if he was to go out and win a championship in that, then that might classify. I don't know. On a technicality, maybe?
Put an asterisk next to it.
Yeah, I mean,
that fixes everything.
Pull one out of the iRacing Today radio show asterisk bag and just put it right on there by his goal and his championship.
And, you know, late models and street stocks do, you know, they're a little bit different, but they do run on dirt tracks.
True. All right, so you have options, Scott. That's what I'm saying. So
yeah, you just need to go ahead and retire. I mean,
you probably already won a championship in one of those anyway, so you're done. Were there any others that were waiting in the wings that we actually missed? That was the only one that I
nope,
caught.
That's the only one I had.
Okay. Just want to make sure I didn't miss anything. So, again, we talked about it at the end of last year, but thank you, everybody, for sending in all of the stuff with your favorite tracks and your least favorite tracks. Not the ones that you hate or, you know, that are bad tracks, just the ones that you like the least, as we had talked about. And, of course, your goals that you wish to accomplish before you are done with iRacing. Not that we want you to be done, but we're kind of curious. We were curious as to what you wanted to accomplish. What was that goal post that you set out there for yourself? So a lot of you guys sent in some answers. So, again, now that we conclude that segment, I want to thank everybody else out and apologize to Scott for... Well, I'm not going to... It's Google's fault. Google spammed you, not me. I didn't say, Scott Dunlap. Spam. No, it was all Google, man. So, moving along, we have our poll question from 2015, the last one of 2015. And it was kind of it felt like a very catch-all type of poll question that we had out there. And that was, which feature of iRacing.com do you like the best? kind of a why are you here? What's the thing that brings you to the table when it comes to iRacing? We had a good turnout on that poll, and thank you very much, everybody, for voting in that. And well, let's see, Chad, why don't you read out some results for us here?
Oh, do I have to? As Trevor said, it was which feature do you like best about iRacing? The answers that you could have selected were, and they finished in this order with the most votes. 40% of the votes was head-to-head, in parentheses, real person racing. With 18% of the votes, I got to figure out how to see. This stuff is small. Team racing and endurance racing, 18% of the votes came home second. 11% of the votes in third was laser scan tracks. 8% of the votes, private sessions, tournaments, and leagues. 7% of the votes, dynamic tracks and weather. 5% of the votes, free updates and improvements. Another 5% of the votes, race with professional drivers on the occasion, obviously, not every time. And then 5% of the time as well, officially sanctioned racing series. 2% said community forums, and absolutely nobody likes the crew chief spotter function. Apparently.
Okay, well, that's a bit misleading.
I know.
Nobody voted for that particular choice in our poll.
That's true.
Again, this is what you like the best. Now, I like all those features, but
Me too.
there was one in particular that I liked the best, which I don't know, for the first time, I don't know, it's been a while, I think, that you and I actually voted for the same thing. We were on the same page. We were a team. And that was what the majority of you guys voted for. And that was head-to-head, real person racing. And when it all comes down to it, every feature that's in iRacing has been, they all have their pluses, their minuses. They all have something that they add to the table. But when it all comes down to it, I'm here because I can jump on the sim at any given point in time and go race with other people. I don't have to set it up. I don't have to look for lobbies. I don't have to, go through like all the old stuff we used to do, with NASCAR 2003 and all the other methods and whatnot, to try to organize and figure it out and try to get everything going. You just go on, what's the next race that's going, and boom, you're in there with other people. And that is why I am still here with iRacing, is for all the other reasons, but that's the main reason why I'm here, is that I can just jump on and race with other people at any given point in time when I want.
And I will agree with what you just said and take it a slight step further. I also like the real person racing versus racing the AI because of the competition. Because every time that you race with the AI, you put them on the most difficult level and you still whoop their tails. Whereas you go jump into a race.
That's not what happened with me. I'd put him on like the easiest thing so I could have a chance at winning.
I have no response for that. Anyways, so I like it because you're everybody's talent level is different. So you might find people that you do end up being better than. And then you find people that are way better than you. And then you find people that are kind of on the exact same ground as you. So I love that part of it, which is kind of why I'm taking it a step further, because that makes everything way more realistic by default. So that's definitely my favorite thing about iRacing, is, that you're racing real, actual people. And I mean, come on, I never would have met Trevor if I was racing AI computer players. So where's the fun in that?
Well, I hate to tell you this, but I actually am just an AI program. All of Canada is actually, we're not real.
Well,
actually.
I believe that. But see, here's the other thing. Our radio show would be to a computer if we were doing this. We'd be talking to a computer. But see, this way we get to talk to real people. How cool is that?
Yeah, that audience probably wouldn't be very fun to interact with, I would imagine. No. So, thanks everybody for voting. It was I was kind of surprised to see the officially sanctioned stuff as low as it was, with just the 5%. Because I mean, that is a very cool thing that we have, where it's the official NASCAR series, the official Verizon IndyCar series, and many others. So I mean, I guess not the main reason, or the thing you like the best, but like I said, all these things are actually quite cool. Although I could use with a little bit more dynamic in my track. I mean, when it comes to the track temperatures varying, it's like, all right, I'm practiced, I'm set. What do you mean it's 30 degrees hotter? Oh crap, there goes my setup. But I'm getting better at that though. So that's coming around. I guess it's there to make me grow as a road racer. So anyway, thanks everybody for voting in. We have a new poll question. Do we have a new poll question up?
Yes.
We have a new poll question up on the site, so make sure.
Such confidence.
It wouldn't be the first time that, you forgot that a month ended and a new one started.
Actually, ever since I've been forgetting, I've actually been better at not forgetting.
That
I
sentence
forgot,
makes
like,
no
3
sense.
months in a row. I know. Well, I forgot like 3 months in a row to put it up on the day that it was supposed to go up, and now 2 straight months in a row I've done it correctly. So I'm getting there, man.
So
Patience.
head on over to our website over at iRacingTodayRadio.com and vote in this month's poll question, and let us know what you think about that so we can talk about it come the month of February. So that leads us to the final segment of the show, which is the experiences. It's some on track, some off track, some stuff that's going on. Obviously, I've had a couple of races. Well, let's see. Since last we talked, how many races have I had? 3? How many weeks have we been gone? Been gone a long time.
We were gone for a year, dude.
I know. We haven't talked since like last year. Let's see. Anyway, some races happened. Unfortunately, I can't tell you what the standings are right now because the website is not currently loading for me. But I know what the answer is, actually, so it's okay. So we had our races at, let's see, I had a race at Homestead last week in the Oval. Before that was Laguna Seca. And before that was somewheres else that I don't remember. And I think I actually talked about on the last show of the season because I'd had the race previously. So I won't talk about that anyway. Laguna Seca. It's been a while since these races happened, so I'm not going to get into too much details on these. Laguna Seca was, as everybody knows, the race that some people circle a race on their calendar because they know they're going to have a good race there. They're going to, it's the track they're looking forward to, where they're getting ready for. And Laguna Seca is the one that I circle on my calendar for all the opposite and wrong reasons, because I was dreading it. I actively dislike that track. I am horrible at that track. It is not it's not a pleasant time when I go to that track. But with all that being said, I've never spent as much time with it as I have leading up to this race because, I need to get ready for, for this race. I'm taking this points thing and this Division 8 championship pretty seriously. So I put a lot of effort into practicing, getting comfortable with that track. And obviously I'm getting more comfortable with road courses in general and the IndyCar itself. So that being said, I struggled with it. Although if you watch the stream of the race, and I did actually stream the race and it is up on YouTube, it would be... I went through a transition there. Anybody who knows me knows that one of the main reasons why I hate that track is the corkscrew, because I have so much trouble getting through that corner. When it all came down to it, I forgave the corkscrew for its issues, and I started hating the turn before the corkscrew instead. That's the corner that I started to dislike instead. As you're coming up the hill, you do that right-hander, or that left-hander, then you have that fast left-hander as you head up towards the hill, towards the corkscrew. That's the corner that I found out that I really hate, because I actually got pretty good at the corkscrew. Although I will say during the pace lap on that race, and it's all archived for your glory to watch, I managed to go off track during the pace lap in the corkscrew and narrate it myself doing it. I came up to it and said, wow. I was on the inside during the pace lap. It's like, as we're approaching, it's like, I wonder if we're going to be managed to actually get through here, at this slow of a speed, on the pace lap. And the words were no sooner out of my mouth that gadonk, off I went into the dirt. It's like, nope, apparently we can't. So, so I managed to get my first 1X before the race even started, so that was exciting. I ended up actually, I can't bring up my, I can't bring up the stats right now, but I believe I actually had a not bad speed with qualifying, as much as I'm not good there, but I was in the bottom split, obviously, so my speeds weren't bad, and I actually think I could have qualified decently, but I duffed both of my qualifying laps, so I never actually got a qualifying speed in. So I finished start towards the back of the pack, and didn't have too bad of a race. I was kind of keeping to myself. I had some offs here and there. Like, I was accumulating before. Put it this way: before we were halfway done the race, I was within 4 incident points of being disqualified. So that played into my mental state towards the end of the race. But I ended up getting, after you get the corkscrew, and I should have brought the track map up, but after you get through the corkscrew, there's that left-hand turn that's pretty fast before you set up the second-to-last right-hander there with the pit lane on the left. And as we're going through there, somebody spun out, and I watched it happen, and I kind of tried to give room, and then they hit somebody, and then they ended up side smacking the side of me, and that set me off. So I got some incident points there, but not enough damage to actually come in because I wasn't in my pit window yet. So, I continued on with that, so that was frustrating. And then I ended up, and it was, on the stream, I got frustrated, and then I felt bad, and actually even came back and talked about it afterwards, saying, okay, as much as I got upset with that situation, that was also that was mostly on me. And then later on found out it was actually a listener to the show. It was Chris Brown, who follows me on Twitter. He came in, later, it's like, sorry, got in your way there. It's like, oh, that was you? It's like, well, I felt bad because I got frustrated. But then, actually, if you can listen during the stream after it, I actually kind of talked into the fact that, actually, that was kind of my fault. And what it was coming into that corner that I hate, whatever turn that is. He was trying to get out of the way, but he kind of slowed down right on the exit of that corner on the inside, like just after the apex, to try to get out of my way, because most people are going through that corner and they're going wide out to that outer curb. But it just so happened on this particular lap, I kind of sort of lost control of the car, so I ended up cutting that really sharp. So basically right on the inner curb, and there he was. So I just plowed because he was just like, he had slowed right down to give me all the space on the right-hand side where I was supposed to be, except for this particular turn, I wasn't there. And there was nothing I could do. Like, I was out of control of the car at the time. Like, I wasn't going to lose it, but it was to the point where I had no grip. I was not going to pull away from it, so I smacked him, killed my front nose, went in, pitted. That cost me an extra pit stop because I wasn't in my pit window yet. It was one of those, I guess, to take away from it, from a rookie point of view, that is not the right place to let somebody by. As much as he should have been out of the way based on the line that I was taking. Pull on a straight stretch. Somebody doesn't have wheel in the car, because you never know, because something like that could happen. And then it totally happened. So, try to pull away, as, Roy and Dean have been beating into me, it's pull over to the side on a straight stretch, slow down slightly. Never let anybody go by in the curves, or in the corners. It's not the right way to do it. I've had to beat it into my own brain, because that's what I was always doing. Oh, they're close to me? All right, I'll just take a really wide turn through this corner, because that's the best way. No, now I'm killing my lap and their lap. I'm getting better at it. So, learn from my mistakes. But anyway, in the end, despite having, and then here's what happened. Because I was sitting at 4 incident points, might have even been 2 from disqualification for the last half of the race, I started racing a lot more conservatively. And because I was afraid of the dirt. I was scared to death of the dirt. And there's a lot of it at Laguna Seca. Well, because if I touched it, man, like you touch that dirt a couple times, boom, I'm out. And this is my one shot to get a race in, so I couldn't afford to get disqualified. There's not many points in getting disqualified. So I spent
Dirt unconfirmed.
I spent the last half of that race scared of the dirt. So I drove a lot more conservatively, and it only took like a second to 2 seconds off what I could do as my best lap times. And some of them they were even on par with. So I raced the last half of that race really conservatively, and despite having all those incident points, 2 accidents during the race, still ended up finishing in 5th spot. So I got a top 5 at Laguna Seca. So that I felt pretty good about, despite all the problems that led up to it. And it had, there had to have been some people with issues to help me get there, but I survived it. I did not get disqualified, and I got another top 5 out of it. So, and some decent points. So I was happy with that. Homestead last week, that was a good race. That's a fun track in this car if you race it right. It's really easy to overdrive that course, especially turn 3 and 4, because the sun usually hits there and it gets really hot, and you lose a lot of grip there. So it's really tempting because it's so wide to flat foot it there. But if you do, you're going to end up in that outside wall, or you're going to end up killing your tires and then having to lift a lot later on. So if you drive it a little bit conservatively in 3 and 4, that can be a lot of fun in this car. Again, I'm not going to get into a lot of the details, but I played a pretty good fuel strategy, which put me in a good window, kept me on the lead lap. At the end of it, I was probably a top 10 car, and because the way I played fuel strategy and saved my tires, other people had to pit before me because their tires were just dead. But I wasn't in my window, so I held out to the last minute, because if I held out to the very last lap that I could possibly go, I had just enough fuel to finish the race. And a lot of people had pitted before me, so I knew they did not. So I was hoping that there was not going to be another caution towards the end of that race, because I was pretty sure I was going to steal a really good finish out of that, because I knew most of the people ahead of me had to pit. And I was sitting at like 9th and 8th and 7th, and I was climbing up the ranks. We did get a pit or a caution towards the end, which kind of killed that, unfortunately. But still ended up finishing. Like on that last caution, I believe I started in 6th on the restart, so I could see the leader. I was on the lead lap. I don't think I'm going to win this race, but at least I can see him from here. And we didn't have that long of a race to go. Ended up passing one guy, so I raced my way into 5th, and then 3rd and 4th had a moment, and he went. One of them guys went spinning off, and I managed to avoid him. Ended up in 4th place, and that's where I finished. So 5th place at Laguna Seca, followed up by a 4th place at Homestead. Quite happy with that. One thing that coming out of turn 4, it's real easy, like I mentioned, to lose your car. And with the differences they made with the smoke and some of the actual effect, that old popcorn effects and all that stuff going on, when he spun and I came around 4, like he spun just as I was kind of mid-corner, and I came around and there was just this wall of smoke. It looked super cool and super realistic to what I'm used to seeing, like watching racing on TV. B, it killed my frame rate. Like, I don't know what frame it went to, but I would not be surprised if I was suddenly in the single digits, because it went bad. And now I'm trying to avoid the accident. I don't know where the car is, because all I see is smoke. There's a car in there somewhere. My frame rate's chugging, and I'm on corner exit where I'm loose and slippery anyway. Managed to guess right, avoided that accident, and that saved my race for me there. But that was definitely one of those. It was the moment where I said, maybe it's time to upgrade my computer, because I don't want this to happen anymore, because this is directly affecting my experience. Because I don't want to turn the settings down, because that looked cool as heck. But it's also not cool as heck trying to steer with your frame rate that low, it's your inputs are not very exact at that point in time. Let's put it that way. So it was, but again, it was a good race. Like I said, I was up with the leaders. I didn't have what it took to beat them on speed, but I was at least in position that if something happened, I could at least steal a win away. So I'm again, progress, getting better, getting ready. As of the stats actually did come up. I have been tweeting these out in case you don't follow me on Twitter. I'm always at the end of the week posting out the standings, but I will tell you that as of right now in Division 8, I am the leader at 735 points. So far, none of my main rivals have raced so far this week. So these are from last week. And my main rival, Mr. Tommy Toe, is at 652. So I believe that is an 83-point lead that I have on him. And we have raced the same number of races. And then Mark Eggebrod is still there. Michael Flaherty and Josh Matlock, who we've talked about a bunch, seems to have fallen off over the holidays. So he missed a couple of races because he was busy with, I don't know, family. See, I made sure I got the races in. I still did my family stuff, but I made sure I set aside those times. Like if my drop weeks are going to be real point weeks, if there's anything I can do about it, I don't want no 0-point drop weeks. So, but anyway, my quest for being the Division 8 IndyCar Winter Series champion are going well. My iRating, my road iRating. Now, of course, this is thanks partially to the road or the oval courses on there as well. But I'm earning some iRating on those road courses as well, and I'm up to a 1254 on the road side. I think when I started this, I was in the 700s. I think is where my iRating started. So we're getting there. Like I'm just over 600 points away from my oval iRating, and I have a safety rating of 464 on the road side. And that would have been like even higher if I hadn't gone to Laguna Seca, where I lost all of my safety rating that I had gained up. So this week we're at Circuit Zolder, which I am not very familiar with and haven't had any practice in yet. So I'm going to have to get some practice in here in the next little bit so I can get a race in. Probably Saturday will be my shot at that, because I don't think I have an opportunity tomorrow night to do it. So it'll probably be Saturday afternoon. I will try to get that race in. So tonight or after I'm done the show or tomorrow, I will get some practice in there. It looks like a track I could probably get the hang of pretty quick. I've been out on it before, but I'm definitely not very familiar with it. A lot of chicanes. Almost reminds me of Circuit Gilles Villeneuve in some of its look and pacing by the looks of it. But we shall see. But anyway, that is my experiences on track over the last little bit. And now that I actually have the site up, it was... Oh, right, no, it was Phoenix. Right, was the oval track before Laguna Seca, and I did talk about that race before. So I didn't miss anything. So that is on-track experiences. I've got a couple other things to talk about, but Chad, why don't you talk about your stuff, since I've been talking racing for a bit here. Oh, don't even. Don't even start, sir. We haven't got a chance to talk into microphones for like 3 weeks. I got to get it all off my chest, man. Sometimes I walk around the house with a microphone and just talk into it for no reason, just from withdrawal.
You're a strange little man.
I am.
Yes. Okay, so I actually have on-track experiences.
You
and
do?
They're not just a single car test session at the Nürburgring. That takes 7 years to get around. So if you recall, I think it was on the last show I talked about this, how I'd use my little hotspot device to try to race. For those of you that are not aware, I'm in a new house, don't have internet yet, so yeah. And the hotspot thing, the first test that I ever ran with it, didn't go so well. Kicked me out with 3 laps left. So I thought, what if we try the old cell phone hotspot thing connection. And all that kind of came about when Roy had mentioned somebody else using it, and other people, apparently use it. After I did a little bit of research, so during our break, I decided to jump out and give it a shot. Now, here's a key factor. We did our last show on the 18th, and then on the 21st of December, I was the first time that I tested it on my phone. And I originally wasn't going to do it because we were almost out of our data for the month until I was like, hey, could we add data? Because I really think the cell phone thing's going to work. So if we add data, that gives me more to play with. And, we don't potentially go over for that current month because we were pretty close to the edge. So we ended up adding more data, which is great for a lot of reasons. And when that happened on that Monday, I actually immediately went and jumped into a carburetor cup race, and then I think I'd pick up a cup race. Just little quick hit things that I could test it out with. And it worked great. My connection was very fast and solid. It never kicked me out of the race, either one of them. I finished both of them, although I got caught up in wrecks, so I finished both of them by myself, I guess.
On your roof?
Yeah. Well, didn't quite make it that far, but which is good. I did have to, in the first race, I did have to pit to use the reset. And the second race, I actually managed to make it to the finish. It was the second race was actually in the old pickup, in the old truck, and at the old Daytona. And it was kind of fun to race the old Daytona again. I missed that one. Anyways, but yeah, like I said, it went really good. And I was quite happy. So, I had also mentioned that I had signed up for this Australian V8 league, which is, I think it's called the Oceanic Sim Racing League.
I was just thinking of that one tweet that you sent out with the results in it.
Yes.
In that series.
Okay. I'm going to get to that. And I was like, okay, because originally I wasn't going to race that, and I even said that on the show. I wasn't going to race this particular one because I didn't think I'd have enough data to try it. Well, then it turns out that I did. So I was like, well, yes, I am trying it. Well, the only problem was that was on December the 22nd. And if you remember at the beginning of the show, we talked about the update that iRacing put out on the same day.
Yes.
And so what happens with that is, and I'm going to use my time zone so there's less confusion. The iRacing website went down at 9 a.m. my time. Well, the race for, well, actually, let's go back to qualifying. The qualifying began for this series at, would have been my time, 5 a.m., which is 4 hours before the website was going down. The actual race started at 5:30. Now, the way they do this is they use the tournament feature. So you do the practice and the qualifying together, and then once the qualifying ends about 5:30, you leave, and then there's 5-10 minutes of you're doing nothing until the admins get the room set up, and then you jump into the race server and do the race. Well, the only problem with that when there is an update is that iRacing will kind of take down the hosted stuff about 4 hours before each update. So basically, that canceled the races because 5:30 is under 4 hours until 9, which means that no race. So what the admins ended up doing, which was perfect for my situation, is that they decided to just do a fun race. So the room, even though the race didn't start until 5:30, the room was already launched before 5, which was the 4-hour mark. So the room actually still existed. So basically, all I'm saying is if you launch a room, let's say 5 hours before the website goes down for an update, then you're good, so long as your room does not last for 6 hours, or 5 hours at least, because at 9 a.m., it going down. because iRacing is going to drop the servers. If it's only going to last for an hour or two, then you're fine. But if your room starts after 5, not happening. So that fun race was perfect because it allowed me to get in there, do a long race, have some fun, and test out the connection and everything like that. So jumped in there. They were at Circuit Zandvoort, which I really like racing at. And I jumped on. Roy was racing, and I told him, I was like, okay, I'm signed up, but I'm not going to join yet, join the server yet, because I'm going to try to save some data because I don't know how much it's going to use. I didn't think it would use very much because my hotspot had used like nothing. The connection just wasn't very good. So, and for the record, I did try my hotspot out again, and it actually kept me in the room I did to test it out again. It actually kept me connected the entire time, but I was blinking like mad. It was insane. So it doesn't work, in other words. So anyways, I jumped into the Zandvoort race, qualified 12th, which led to Roy hating me because I outqualified an Australian.
Ooh.
And it's actually funny. I swear I was the last card to grid because, like, as soon as I hit grid, it was like the red lights came on and then the green light came on, and I was so not prepared for that.
It's like, oh, you're here? Okay, let's go. Ah.
That's pretty much what happened. Like, I sat down, and I think I was in the middle of telling Roy something because I was on TeamSpeak with him, and I think I was like telling him something, or we're talking about fuel or something like that, and then it was like, oh, whoa, and I literally thank God for natural instincts because I panicked in my mind about what I was supposed to do, but like my feet and my hands and everything, they did exactly what I was supposed to do. They, clutch, pedal, gas pedal, and then put it into first gear. The race itself went quite well, except on lap 2, I did get involved in a slight scuffle, and I did a quick little 360. Didn't hit anything, I was trying to avoid a wreck, and somebody else was trying to avoid it, and they moved over to where I was and hit me. And so I went, whee! But then got going again, and that was the only bad thing that happened. Finished the race in 8th, I think it was. And I'm skipping a lot of the details, but that's because there's more important things to talk about. And at the main part, and the really cool part is that I finished the race. Now, when I say I finished the race, I'm not all excited about, I finished 8th. I'm excited because I finished the race with my cell phone putting me in the race.
Yeah.
Which
Well,
is just funny to say.
yeah, and that's the thing is, like, see, you're part of the problem. You're using your phone to race. I mean, it's not, but to be clear, not as a steering device. He's not.
No.
This isn't iRacing mobile.
Yes, but it worked. And lo and behold, it really didn't use all that much data because I checked it. I watched it. I had been monitoring that like a hawk just to see how that would go. But it actually, to my knowledge, nobody yelled at me, for blinking. But to my knowledge, I think I only blinked twice. And when I say blink, I mean like the quick, I'm there, disappear, okay, I'm back. And so that was good. Everything seemed very solid. I watched it. Roy didn't, seem to struggle with me talking to him, and him hearing me. So apparently, everything worked quite well. And I was extremely happy because that kind of opened the door for me to do some racing. So I didn't do any racing after that because it was Christmas time. After we got through Christmas time, I did the next week's race in the same series, the Oceanic V8 development series, and they were at the Nürburgring GP this time. So I was really excited about this one because it was at a track that I had not done yet. The specific configuration. And went out there and really got really comfortable with the whole shebang right away. And That's actually kind of a fun combination. I didn't think it was going to be at first, but I haven't really found a combination where the V8 isn't fun yet. So what am I talking about? But here's where things got exciting. You know how they've made it to where you can like use the same pit stall over and over and over and over again, and you can have like 60 car fields.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we did that at the Nürburgring, and I'm not making this up. There were 56 um, cars on the grid. I just remember something I forgot to say about the Zandvoort race that Trevor brought up that he laughed about. So let me go back to this real quick. The race at Zandvoort, I was the only non-Australian in there, and that was pretty cool.
Yeah, because the standings, like, it just Australia, New Zealand, like, then Virginia, and then the rest of them.
Australia, New Zealand, Australia, New Zealand, Australia, New Zealand. It was awesome. I really enjoyed it. I took a picture. Like I said, I finished eighth, and there were 29 cars in the field. So 28 Australians and one not Australian. It was funny. I enjoyed it. Anyways, back to the Nürburgring. There were 56 cars. I think 55 of them actually started because one was an admin, and they do the live admin thing. And I qualified in 32nd,
Oh dear.
which, despite sounding kind of bad, it was actually not terrible. I mean, it's not great either, but I could have been 50th. So,
Well, now
we went.
to be clear, I wasn't oh-dearing because I was saying, what a horrible performance by you. I'm thinking right smack dab in the middle of that melee seems like the worst place to start that race.
And you have seen turn one at the Nürburgring GP, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. For those of you that haven't, it's like a dead sharp to the right 90-degree turn. It's like go really fast into turn one, stop, turn, and there's 60 cars.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's why 30th seems like about the worst spot you could do that from.
Yeah. So now what's funny, at least I guess it's funny, it was a little bit scary, is that I don't know exactly where the wreck happened, but it was towards the top 20 is where something went wrong. And, I'm just cruising on down through there, don't really see any of this yet. And I get to turn one, and there's like a car there, there's a car there, there's a car there, there's a car there, and they're all wrecked. And I'm like, oh dear. And so I'm starting to like dodge people, trying to figure out my way through. Other people that are right next to me are trying to dodge people. We make contact. And then, I go through the little, let's take a dead right-hand turn. Oh, and there's more cars sitting right there. And then I get hit again by somebody who's trying to avoid people. And it was really crazy. And no, there was not a replay, I don't think, anyways, of this race, CB34848 in our chat. It was nuts. So all of that said, I never actually spun. I did get hit in the side, like I described, a couple of times. But my car was fine, didn't have the meatball flag, everything was great. And I continue on. I then... let's see, this was a 22-lap race. In both races, you had to make at least a pit stop. So I kind of thought, I might go about halfway through the race to make my pit stop. But then there was this guy that ended up being behind me, and he was being very aggressive to the point where it was kind of scaring me because I felt like he was going to do something really dumb and wreck me. And I wasn't really in the mood at 5:30 a.m. to be wrecked by this guy. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and pit. So on like lap 5, I think it was, I pitted. Came back out in 41st. And very slowly, as people pitted and a couple of them wrecked, and I actually passed quite a few people as well, started driving my way back up through there. And eventually found myself, I think with like 3 to go or 4 to go, in 18th. And this, I guess he was one of the last people to pit. But the guy that was in 19th caught me, and it was a different guy from the guy at the beginning of the race, but he was also being very aggressive, and not like, being stupid, but just making some moves or trying to attempt, to make some moves that I don't know were smart.
Mm.
So, but at this point, I was like, I can't pit. I'm not going to let him go because I'm battling for 18th, and I really wanted to finish 18th because I had driven all the way up from 41st to get there.
Yeah, no
So it's kind of
kidding.
like, yay, 18th in a 56 car field. That's pretty cool, right? So he, we were going down into turn one, and he got a pretty good run off of me coming out of that last turn, going down the big long straightaway there. And we're going down the straightaway, and I thought, okay, he's probably going to look right here and really dive it into turn one. So I did something that I really love to do. Instead of, because he's probably thinking, okay, he's really going to dive it in here. He's going to race me for it because we got like 2 to go at this point, and, we're battling for 18th. So in my mind, I thought, yeah, go ahead and start passing me to the right because all I'm going to do is brake earlier. So that's what I did. I hit the brakes a lot earlier than you normally would.
Hmm.
And guess what he did? Whee! He went flying into the turn because he was trying to outbrake me.
Yep.
And then when he didn't need to outbrake me anymore, he completely missed the turn. He didn't crash. He actually did quite a pretty good job. I'll give him credit for, not spinning out or wrecking or whatever. But man, did he miss the turn. So I drove right back by him because I did miss the turn. And we went about another lap, and he passed me again at some point. I don't remember where it was, but he almost crashed, like coming out of the very next turn. And so I ended up going right back by him again. And then on the this was with 2 to go, actually, this last one. So those first 2 were like 3 or 4 to go. This one with 2 to go, we had caught some lap traffic, and one of the lap cars looked a little iffy, but still yet, I was trying to make quick work of them and trying to put them in between the two of me and the guy I was racing with to see if I could buy myself some time. And we were kind of going into this left-hander that I don't really think you should go 3 wide in. But this guy thought that you should. And while I was passing the lap car, he dove to my inside on my left. There was room there, but he kind of dove it in there. And it kind of put me in a bad spot. And because I'm still new to the league and, don't want to be the jerk kid who wrecked people, and because I wasn't racing for points or anything, and I'm just racing for the fun of it, and to, because I actually can with my situation, I kind of slightly backed out of it just a little bit, enough to keep everybody safe. And then I was like, okay, so I'm back in 19th. He got biased. I'm like, well, it's whatever. He might even wreck because he's been driving really hard there. So we come around to get the white flag. And I go into turn 1 and promptly spin myself out right in the middle of the racetrack for those lovely lap cars that I just passed to go right into the side of me.
Oh.
And ruined my race. I tried to drive it back. I was way off in the grass. I wasn't on the road. I was trying to drive it back. My car was the tow anyways was so out of whack that it really became pointless. And I actually almost spun out into the racetrack to, I believe he's a listener of the show, Lucas Beer, who was coming down the straightaway, and I almost spun right in front of him, and I panicked because I thought, oh dear, that is not cool. And I yanked it to the left, so I spun into the grass field, and then I just hit escape and exited out. And finished 28th, 1 lap down. So I went from somebody who was like, okay, I'm going to get my goal of a top 20 finish in a big 50-some car field, to not even finishing the race. That was frustrating. And I felt like a loser. Probably one of the worst moments ever.
But if it was like under F1 rules, you'd still be classified because you're only 1 lap down. See, so
That's true.
you still would have been classified as finishing the race.
Under F1 rules. We're in the V8 series. But that aside, and the very, 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 very depressing ending that was my own fault. I messed up. It was still a lot of fun because I really did enjoy that combination. Um, anyway, so that was that. Now
One
I'm going to
other,
stop talking.
well, as I say, one
Uh,
other side note on that, just in case anybody who's not familiar with the Nurburgring, we always talk about the big configuration, like the huge configuration, and you might, in case you're thinking, oh well, 56 cars, obviously you got all the room in the world. Well, in case you don't know, the Grand Prix configuration is actually only a 3.2 mile track, so we're not. He wasn't on the huge one here. He was
yeah,
on the smaller actual racetrack thing, not the journey through the mountains part of the track. So 56 cars on 3.2 miles, that's still going to be pretty crowded.
yeah,
So
it was. I saw somebody at all times. But what I was going to say was I will stop there and let Trevor explain his next segment, and then I will come back to a few more things, including another experience that I want to get to as well. So, Trevor, carry on.
there's one other thing that we also forgot to mention as well, but I'll get back to that as in
Okay.
a little bit as well. But going back to that whole smoke incident, and we were talking about the rift and all that good stuff earlier. As luck would have it, I ended up having a project at work that did really well and ended up getting a bonus for that, which I translated into Amazon bucks. So I was kind of debating back and forth on what I was going to do with the money, because there's a bunch of little things like the components for the iFlag, for instance, and there was getting a green screen for in here, I'd like to get a screen up behind me so I can kind of chroma key that stuff out, or have something for when I'm doing my race videos and stuff like that, and a couple little things. So I was thinking, it's like, well, I could get a bunch of stuff with this money, but it's like, or I could get, maybe I could go big and get a new video card for my machine. One of the reasons was I wanted to get my computer Rift ready in case I could afford that. And also, I mean, my video card in here is fine. It's a 760, but it is starting to struggle. And as games get more and more intense with the graphics, and now that iRacing is making some big leaps and bounds, such as the smoke thing, for instance, it's starting to fall behind. And especially with me streaming races, I'm having to turn things down a little bit, and that's really, I hate. It's part of being a PC gamer. You never want to turn anything down, but sometimes you have to. And with the streaming, I've been, with it being a little bit jumpy, I've had to. So I looked at it, it's like, well, based on the money I have, and then some extra money I have aside, and a couple other things, I could get a GTX 970 card, which A, meets the requirements for the Rift, so in case I'd be ready for that. Now that the price has been released on that, we know that ain't happening anytime soon, but and also a 970 would improve the graphics by a large margin over my 760, and would allow me to turn the graphics back up for when I'm doing my streaming and stuff like that. So that is the move I'm going to be making. So I'm going to be doing an upgrade to my rig. I'm going to be going up to a GTX 970, which also gets me into a point where I know I could comfortably, once I have a little bit of extra money, go triple screens, which is, if you watch my streams for the IndyCar Winter Series, you will hear me cursing my lack of triple screens a lot, because there's a lot of times I'm going into corners. I know there's a guy beside me. I don't know exactly where he is, in the corner, so I give more room than I know I have to, because I want to be safe, because I can't, even that looking left button, if I'm in the middle of a corner, that just messes me up, so I just give more space, and if, what the heck was that?
I was doing the look left and look right.
You look like you were being attacked. but it's one of those things where, I know I could fight off positions and make passes better if I had that situational awareness with the triple screens, because they're there. They're out of my I can't see them in my mirror. I know they're there, but I don't know where they're at. So if I get the 970, I know it sets me up nice for triple screens once I have the money to do that. So I'm going to go ahead buy that. Actually, the money just came into my Amazon bucks, came through tonight, so that's all set. So I'm just waiting for the card to be ready or back in stock at Amazon, because it's currently out of stock. But I will pick that up soon, so I'll be upgrading my rig, which is awesome. Can't wait for that to happen. Also, I got a new microphone stand. I'm not using it tonight because I'm actually going to rearrange where the way my office is set up. My office is weird because it's not a real room. At least I swear it's not, because it's not shaped like a rectangle or a square.
It's an imaginary room.
Well, it's a room that was designed by idiots, is what it is. Because like at the end where I'm at, it's a different width than it is at the other end. Like it's almost like a, I don't know. My math skills or my geometry skills are failing me, but there's a shape that has like it's a squish square. Where there's a flat at this end, there's a flat at that end, but that end's wider, and then it kind of goes, so it's like a triangle, but it's like a triangle square, man. There's a word for that. I don't know what it is. But anyway, it's a bit cramped down where I'm at, and it fits, and the spare bed's at the other end, and I measured it out, and the spare bed could actually fit down at this end, so I'm going to rearrange it because right now where I'm at, triple screens would not work. There's no room. But if I had it at the other end, it would be room. So I'm going to rearrange the office, move my cockpit over there. Not saying I'm getting triple screen soon. I'm just saying I'm going to have the video card that'll do it for me. And I'll have the space, so I'll be 2 steps ready. But like I said, also I got a new microphone boom, one of the ones that you see kind of in a radio studio more, like it's kind of on the hinged spring type thing where I can swing it out and in. Because this arrangement I have with a straight boom behind me is really inconvenient the way it comes over my shoulder, so that'll be way better. I haven't set it up yet because I'm going to wait until I move my cockpit down there and have the more room to set it up. So I got that to upgrade what's going on here, and the video card will be hopefully in the next week or 2. So a couple of upgrades going on. My streams will hopefully look a bit better thanks to that. And then once I get myself some money, I'm probably going to go with triple screens because it's still cheaper than getting a Rift, like I said. So, for the 2 extra monitors, because I got my main monitor is a nice monitor, and I can pick up the same one, for about $200 a pop, a little bit over $200. So maybe I might buy those and then not get the mount and maybe get a couple tables there or something. I don't know. But anyway, so the rig's getting upgraded. The microphone stand will be upgraded. I got a nice new pop filter as well that's going to put on, which might make things sound a little bit better as well. So looking forward to all that. So I'll talk about that hopefully. Well, not next time I stream, but the next time I stream a race. Hopefully it'll be with a new video card and everything will be set up. And then maybe I'll get some money. Maybe I'll start a Kickstarter. Buy Trevor triple screens. That's how that works, isn't it?
GoFundMe.
Yeah, GoFundMe. I got enough money for food and everything like that, but I could really use triple screen. So, if you could help a brother out. I think that may be an abuse of the system. But anyway, so hopefully, I do have my income tax return coming in the next few months and stuff. So if there's some money I can scrape off that, I'll probably use that to buy triples, because that's the next major upgrade. Once I get a nice beefy video card in here, triples is the next main move. And it's one of those things where, no, it's not the Oculus, but it'll obviously be great for iRacing, and then there's a lot of other shooters and stuff like that I play that would benefit from it. Plus, it'll be better for even doing this, because then I'll have the multiple screens, because now I kind of have a crappy screen off to the side for the Skype and the other things and stuff, and with the triples it'll be even better. So anyway, that is the extent of my updates, so I'll keep you guys up to date on when I get that new video card, which I am very, very excited about getting. Plus the fact that when my buddy Vern, who I've mentioned on the show a bunch of times, he's got, we built our computers around the same time, so he has the exact same video card as I have, so I'm actually going to sell him that so he can SLI the 2 of them together, so that's actually going to offset the cost of the new card as well, so, which is nice. Plus, actually, apparently 2 SLI'd 760s, just in raw numbers, actually is fairly comparable to a 970, but obviously the 970 has more features and stuff like that, but it's just on frame rate and stuff like that, it's actually comparable, so he'll get a pretty good deal out of it too. So that is nice. Brenton mentioned he has a 960. That's probably good for iRacing while capturing video. Yeah, like I said, the 760 is starting to struggle. unfortunately. So, but the 970 should kill it. I mean, like I said, you're doing on a 770 triples, and everything's working great for you. So 970 should be hecka awesome, man. So
Yeah, but eventually I'm going to have to do the same thing. I'm going to have to upgrade. But that'll be another day.
So anyway, you said you had something else to mention?
Oh, yeah, I have lots of stuff to mention.
Oh, dear.
We're going to be here for another 3 hours. No,
I don't want that to happen.
So, iFlag came in the mail.
Oh, yes, right.
And I have gotten that all together, and it is working very nicely, and I love it. I have used it in both a road race, the Nürburgring race that I just mentioned, and I have used it in an oval race that I'm going to mention in a minute. And it works. I mean, there's really not anything to really explain about it because it's kind of self-explanatory what it does with, showing up different flags at different states when they are supposed to shows up. During the Nürburgring road race, basically the only ones you really saw were, I did and this is optional in the software, but I did the standing start lights, so where it will kind of do the countdown where it does a solid red on the screen, to let you know that you should be getting ready, and then it flips green, obviously, to go fast. And then, like it would do the flash back and forth with the yellow one. If there was a local, caution, like somebody had spun and I was coming around the turn or something. And, did the white flag and never saw the checkered flag. And I never saw the blue cross flag either in that one. But it works as intended, and it looks as bright as all get out. I even set the thing to the lowest brightness setting, and it still blinds the heck out of me. Definitely bright. I'm gonna have to figure out exactly. I haven't mounted it, or Velcroed it would be the better way to say it, on my cockpit yet. I'm still trying to figure out where I want to put it. But anyways, it works great, and it is very, very handy. And like I said, it's very bright, so you definitely don't miss anything ever again.
Yeah. Caution!
You might miss your mark into the turn because you can't see because it's like, ah. But anyways, it does work really good, and I love it. Cool and awesome little product to pick up. Anyways, so that was that. I did a couple of very small things to my sim rig. You guys may remember from back in October when the downshift add-on for the Driving Force GT fell off in my hand while downshifting the V8 at Bathurst.
Oh, yeah.
I have re-put that back on now. It took a while because, I moved. So that's done, and then I did a couple of little tweaks and things like that. So cockpit is basically 100% done, except for one thing that has popped up that I'm now troubleshooting, is that my Z1 dashboard still works. I have the little LCD screen that you can buy with it, and it's functioning, with the exception that I have the touchscreen one, and the touch part is not functioning now. So I've been in talks with Russell, who's the guy that runs all that, trying to figure out what's going on there, because it was working and now suddenly it's not working. So I'm going to try to open it up probably tomorrow or Saturday this weekend and see if I can monkey around with that and get it to where I can touch things, and it does it that way. So anyways, don't know what's going on there, but other than that, everything's great.
I was actually, before we move on that one, the Z1 dashboard, I noticed that they made some changes the way that software works. Because we both bought it a while ago, and me not that long ago. But apparently, I noticed that they actually sent out some information recently, and apparently they've rolled all of it, everything they have software into one basic package, where they actually have the dashboard, the track maps, and data logging and telemetry analysis, all is rolled up into their software now. Now, that's not what we have, because that's not the version we purchased, but I mean, it looks like for $25 you get all of that. And I was looking at some of the telemetry stuff that they have, and I don't know. That looks like some, again, we talked about telemetry. I'm not good enough to use it, but man, the stuff that they feed back to you, like even when you're locking up into corners and, and analyzing the speed through the corners and all this stuff, it sounds like there could be some really cool stuff in there. So if you haven't picked up Z1 Dashboard yet, now might be a great time to kind of go revisit that, because you're getting a lot more now than you used to get, and what you're getting sounds like there might be some pretty cool stuff in there. I'm actually tempted just to buy the new version, just to get all of the new stuff that actually comes with it. And the fact that it's actually, and I didn't realize this when I first purchased it, not that it's that important for me, but for others it might be important, that it's actually compatible with more than just iRacing. It's also compatible with Assetto Corsa, R Factor 1 and 2, Project Cars, and several other things. So, you're getting a lot of bang for your buck with that product. I mean, and just for the limited use that I've gotten out of it, it's been well worth my what I paid for it, and now you get a lot more as well. So, just want to throw that in because you were talking about using one dashboard, and that's something that I saw the other day, and to mention on the show. So, carry on.
Agreed. It is a great program. Okay, so last thing that I will talk about is an experience that happened just last night. And here's the thing. Over the 2-week break there, I was, and once I knew that, my cell phone connection actually allows me to race, which is still weird for me to say. But anyways, that kind of puts me back in the business, of racing. I am not... I gotta phrase this correctly. I'm not necessarily going to race officially. Like, my plans for 2016 are to race the V8 officially, and try to, I would like to win a race. I've never actually won a V8 race. I might be the only person in the world who won a championship before I won a race in the V8 car. But anyways, so I'd like to try to win an actual individual race, and that's going to be my main goal. And then I also want to race the Formula One car, the new one. So that's going to be my official stuff for the road stuff this year. But I'm going to put that off, even though I have this, the cell phone thing going. It's not that I don't trust it or anything, because I do. It's worked great in every race I've used it in. But it's one of those things where I would rather just have a good, normal internet, to where I can do a bunch of practicing, and if I need to do multiple races because I had a problem, like a wreck or something, I can, because I'm a little bit concerned with data, whereas with the normal internet there is no concern with data. So I'm going to wait on that. So right now, and my plan, now that I know I can do all this, is to just sporadically jump into stuff and have fun. If I feel like doing a Power Series race on a Sunday night, then I'm going to jump in and do it. If I want to do one of those V8 races I was talking about earlier, then I'm going to jump in and do it. And I even thought about doing, something like the Skip Barber Series. If I wanted to jump into a race like that, something just random junk is basically what I'm going to do.
Random crap.
Yes. But there is another series, and there was another desire that I kind of developed, excuse me, over the break, and that is the fact that it has been a long time since I was in a broadcast race as a driver. And I really wanted to do it. So I kind of looked into the Global Sim Racing Challenge. Wow. Global Sim Racing channel that Trevor is involved with, and I looked into kind of some of the series that they are going to be streaming or recording, I guess. And because I thought about, well, maybe I can find a road series, that they do, and they do have some, but I don't know if there's one that would be a good fit for me. I may look back into it though. But there was a series that was kind of a good fit, and it is the American Sim Racing series that is using the B car, as I still call it, because I'm old school. But it is now on the sim called the Xfinity cars, and it's basically, the NASCAR Xfinity stuff. And they are racing a 16 race season, which I didn't necessarily want to sign up for the full season because I'm not really interested in that. But there was an entry fee to get in, so now I'm gonna kind of try to get my money's worth out of it. But it is broadcasted. Every race is broadcasted by Global Sim Racing Channel. So it's kind of like the best of both worlds. I haven't really gotten a chance yet to use the new Xfinity cars like the Toyota, the Camaro, and everything. I raced the Ford Mustang quite a lot. I've ridden the Camaro a couple of times, but the Toyota I've never been in a race with. So I kind of want to get my money's worth out of that instead of letting them just sit there. Now I've obviously driven that particular car a bunch in the past when it was just the old Impala. So it's not like I'm trying to get a new experience in. It's just getting my money's worth, and they're all broadcasted, and it's fun.
Right.
So, as I said, I joined. The first race was actually last night. It was interesting. It was very caution-filled, unfortunately, but it was the first race, so I kind of give them some slack there. There's some new people. Everybody's learning things. It's a new situation. But this was my race in a nutshell. I started ninth, drove up to sixth, then fell to 17th because I pitted, then drove back up to ninth, and then other people pitted, so then I was in third.
What track was this? I don't know if that had been covered.
Phoenix.
Okay.
I thought I said that.
You may have, but I want to make sure that we had that established.
Pay attention. It was at Phoenix. Okay. So at the new Phoenix, that is. I'm now going to restart because this is very important that you listen to this. So
I'm ready.
Qualified. I did ninth. I drove up to sixth. I then fell to 17th because I pitted. Then I drove back up to ninth. Excuse me, back up to ninth. Then other people pitted, so I ended up in third. After a restart, I was in fourth, I believe, or third maybe. I then spun, backed it into the fence, not very hard. Went all the way back to 35th in a 40 car filled. Then after I made some repair, I think I had like 25 seconds of repairs, got all that fixed. Drove from 35th to 25th to 20th to 15th to 8th, back up to third. Then pitted again, went back to 17th. Then drove back up through the field on two tires, actually. It was a very impressive drive. All the way back up to fifth. Then went into the lead when I thought that a few of the lead cars would pit, but most of the field would stay out, and I would stay out as well. So I stayed out, went to first. Nobody else stayed out. So I promptly dropped to eighth on the ensuing restart because I had no tire compared to everybody else's tires. Then another caution came out. I pitted, went to 17th, drove back to 14th, then got to 11th, and a caution ended the race, and apparently somebody blew an engine, and I finished in 10th. It was fun.
Dang.
So I pretty much covered the map. And like I said, it was kind of a bad race. There were definitely, I think we had 15 cautions. And they have a time limit on their races, obviously, because for those of you that aren't familiar with the broadcasting stuff, they offer packages, most of them do anyways, in like hour segments. So like you get an hour here, 2 hour segment, 3 hour, 4 hour. That's kind of what you pay for. You don't necessarily pay for the, 100 lap race, so to speak. You pay for 2 hours. So their time limit was an hour and 25 minutes. And apparently when you have 15 cautions in a 125 lap race, you do not finish in an hour and 25 minutes because we did not finish the scheduled lap distance. We missed it by 10 laps. And so, yeah, it was, the racing was a little bad, but like I said, it's the first race of a new season, new people, some new roles even. There's a lot of new, and I think you get about 3 weeks, everything will be pretty good. I'm not saying that we're going to have, perfect races, but, I think it'll be better. So anyways, I was excited. Again, my connection was great. Every time I've used my phone, I've not been kicked from a race. I had blinked a few times, but it's not been very bad. and nobody's yelled at me, which is good. So I'm excited because I at least get to do some fun stuff, get to race. I'm really excited about being on the broadcast races because, like I said, it's been a long time, and I enjoy them. It's kind of a unique experience.
Yep.
So I'm looking forward to the races. They are on Wednesdays, or at least in American time zone. They are on Wednesdays. It's like Thursday morning, I think, in Australia, or afternoon perhaps. But anyways, they are on Wednesdays at 9 p.m. Eastern time, and they, as I've already given away, they are broadcasted on the Global Sim Racing channel and on iRacing.com/live. So I'm driving the 77 car, got us a little iRacing Day Radio Show paint scheme painted up that Trevor yelled at me for, and I am looking forward to racing. We race Homestead next week, so it'll be entertaining.
Right on. And, we talked about, the Global Sim Racing channel, because I'm going to be doing some broadcasting with them. I've done some work with them over the last little bit, and they definitely do really good work. If
Yes, they do.
if you want to be entertained, they are good broadcasts. So if you want to sit there and cheer chat on in the chat room, and their broadcasts are YouTube, so they actually have the chat up, so you can talk with other people watching the race and all that good stuff. And like Chad said, it's on that iRacing.com/live that we talked about, so it's right there on the main iRacing page. So you usually get a pretty good audience because of that. So definitely should be. I wish you good luck, sir. And unfortunately, it's not the series that I'm going to be broadcasting. I'm going to be doing a series coming up starting on the 31st of January called the Pacific Majors. At least that's the current plan. That race different cars each week, and they're doing both road and oval. It's a kind of a very dynamic series. They race in 10 months. They race 13 races, so it's not an every week sort of thing. But I'll keep you guys up to date on when I'll be doing those. But I'll be co-commentating that with Joe Peak, which is one of the principal owners there at GSRC. So I'm looking forward to that. It's because broadcasting races is a lot of fun. I just wish I was broadcasting the races that Chad was in, because that's even more fun. But
Yes, but yeah, like you said, they do have a good quality work. Like I'd seen some of their recordings before, but the race last night was the first one that I've watched like all the way through.
Mm-hmm.
And it was, I mean, they have a lot of really neat graphics. The replays are good. Their camera views are really cool. They really, and the announcers they had last night were doing good. And so it's definitely a very high quality piece that they put out. So that makes it even more enjoyable, because it's not like, hey, I'm on a broadcast race, but it's a piece of junk. It's actually really good. So
yeah,
that makes it more fun.
It does, and one of the things that they do as well, as part of the way that they run the business, is they try to have a set, because there's a bunch of, well, not a bunch, but there are several of us commentators that work with them, and they try to keep the same group together for a particular series, so it should be the same commentators, the same two guys working that, and over as the season goes on, they'll actually, because of that, they get to know the drivers, and they get to know kind of, some aspects of the various people and stuff like that, so they can start to talk about, how they're doing or what they saw the last race, because they're getting used to you guys. So the broadcast will probably get better and better, and of course, Chad being Chad, he'll be racing up towards the front, so they're going to get really used to him, and then we'll get some good airtime for our show logo on your hood there. So
I don't know. I mean, did you see the one last night?
Actually, I haven't had a chance to. I mean,
were you listening to what I just described?
Well, I know, but you said you were all over the place. So they had. I mean, if the camera caught you while you were going back and forward through the field,
I will say this, and actually, I was surprised they did show it on the screen. Now, it wasn't like a close-up; it was kind of in the background of the screen. But I actually made a move that I originally thought was a 3-wide move that I was quite proud of. It was probably one of the sweetest 3-wide moves that I've ever made, and it turns out it was a 4-wide move. So that made it even better. I didn't think they were going to show it, but it actually was on the screen. So I was quite pleased, because I was driving the wheels off the car. Because the deal was, when up until my spin, mentally I was like not focused. Like I was struggling in the race. to be honest, mentally. Like I just, for some reason, I wasn't focused. I don't know why. And then I spun, and I mean, nobody could see me, but I literally, after I started driving back around the racetrack to go down pit road and fix my damage, I did this to myself like 6 times, just banging myself in the head. Like, what are you doing? You got to quit driving like a moron and focus. And after that point is when I was actually focused and started driving the wheels off that car and actually showed more of who I actually am and not the previous stuff where I'm wrecking.
Well,
like
I mean, you
dumb.
also got to knock the rust off too, because I mean, we haven't really been at it
Yeah.
very hard over the last little bit because of the moving and the holidays and the internet and all that good stuff.
And also, I haven't driven the Nationwide car in 2 years, so that factors in a little bit too.
Yep,
But
absolutely.
anyways, it's fun, and I'm looking forward to it. So it's something to do. I know I said I was going to kind of quit over racing, but this is a little different because it involves broadcast.
So it doesn't count.
No, so don't yell at me. Adam Hollick was like, "I see your retirement is going well," and I responded with, "I know. I'm Mark Martin.
I was about to say you're about as good as retiring as Mark Martin is.
I'm a racer, man. You can't let me quit."
It's like I'm retiring this year. No, for real. No, really, no. No, give me another rocking chair. It's fine. Yeah. Meanwhile,
So,
Rusty's
hey,
all
there's a ride over there open.
yeah, Rusty's all like, "All right, I'm retiring. Thanks for the rocking chair." He's done. He just goes off and then goes into broadcast and do all stuff. Nope. Mark's all like, no, okay, no. Oh
Yeah,
wait, there's
that's
nobody.
me.
There's nobody in that car right now. Yoink.
Yeah, I'll drive that one. I don't care if it's like the slowest car on the track. I'll drive it.
Yeah, racer at heart.
That's
So
me.
that is the end of our experiences and just about the end of our show. One last thing I wanted to mention before we let you guys go that I meant to mention a little bit earlier on is that there is a job posting at iRacing. And I only mention that because they don't post jobs very often, so I wanted to call attention to it when it happens. You can always check out their job postings over at iRacing.com/job-opportunities. There are 3 currently. One's web designer. I can't remember what the other one is. And this one just was posted, and I wanted to call specific attention to it just because I know the quality of people that listen to this show. So it's one of those ones where I think maybe one of you out there might actually be desire to actually apply for this job here. So the job is competition and community manager. A newly created position located in the office in Bedford, Massachusetts. I'm not going to read the entire thing, but I'll read a bit of it here. It is a full-time position. The description: iRacing.com Motorsport Simulations, the industry leader in PC-based racing simulations, is looking for an experienced, detail-oriented person to manage the competition, community, and communication aspects of iRacing's online racing. Job duties: communication or competition manager and lead official for the pro level series, to include assisting with rule creation, communication, post-race review, and penalties. So a little bit of NIM cross in there, but specifically for the pro level series. Manage pro level entry, rosters, and associated data. Forum moderation, community ambassador. Assist with both the internal and external promotion of iRacing official series, including social media and online broadcasts. A couple of things: assisting with proactive communication to members, along with answering member questions either directly or via the online forums. Assist with member-based incidents, reviews, appeals. Again, some NIM cross backup there. Backup support for general customer service as needed. So if anybody's having some problems, some QA support as well. The requirements: positive influence and attitude, enjoy listening, helping, and assisting customers, excellent oral and written communication skills, excellent relationship skills are a must, obviously, if you're going to be a community ambassador, ability and comfort level to handle tense situations and turn to a positive, ability and comfort level to enforce penalties and membership suspensions as needed, So, the ability to be comfortable bringing down the band hammer when necessary, comfortable and enjoy working with computers, technology, software, a motorsports enthusiast with a good understanding of racing and general racing rules, a race official background or racing school background is a plus, knowledge and understanding of sim racing, excellent organization, skills and attention to detail, bachelor's degree or equivalent, which is a really weird requirement for this position. A gaming background is a plus. A customer service background is a plus. Demonstrated ability to set and meet deadlines. Ability to manage a multitude of projects. Knowledge of social media trends and marketing, a plus. There is a forum post. Also, that job opportunity site I mentioned. To apply, send a resume and cover letter to Kevin Bobbitt, which is kevin.bobbitt@iracing.com, and that is Bobbitt. Don't misspell that. Because there are several ways you could spell that. So, I don't know. I mean, that seems like a position that a lot of people who might end up, I don't know, some of our wonderful listeners out there who happen to be, good community ambassadors might want to apply for. And if you were looking at that description or listening to that description and saying, wow, that sounds like Trevor, you wouldn't be the first person to say that. That position actually sounds a lot like exactly something I could do with iRacing. The only problem with that being, I'm not based in Bedford, Massachusetts. I'm up here in Canada. But if ever I was to get a job that would get me into iRacing, this would be the one, I swear, because it sounds like a lot of stuff that I kind of do anyway through the podcast and through the social media and through all the everything else that goes on. So it's like they said, hey, let's create a job for Trevor, but then make it somewhere where Trevor can't get it. So, but I don't know. Maybe they'll let me do it remotely. Huh? Who knows? Who can say? I mean, actually, a lot of listeners of the show came on Twitter as soon as they saw this posting and said, have you seen this? Started a mini campaign of Hire Trevor on Twitter as well, which was, so it is good to know that you guys think that I could possibly, that I would be a good fill for that job. And I think I could. But I'm not moving to Massachusetts, just to be clear.
Hashtag Hire Trevor.
Yes. Although, if they were willing to have that job filled remotely from, say, Canada, I might be all for it. So, but anyway, just want to bring that up to your guys' attention just because iRacing does not post jobs that often. So I wanted to make sure that you guys were aware. And with that all being said, I believe that will bring to a conclusion our first show of 2016. Missed you guys. Really have. It felt weird not doing a show for the last few weeks here. It was good to have a break. Don't get me wrong, not having to worry about it, not having to juggle stuff around the family and the holidays and stuff, but missed not sitting down with you guys on Thursday night and having a chat into the microphone and talking about the racing experiences and everything that's going on. So, I hope everybody had a great holiday. Hope everybody had some time to spend with family and had, a bit of a break and maybe got some racing done. But unless you have anything else to bring up, Chad, we shall close this out and let these fine people head off into the day or night or wherever they may be. Chad says, no, it's okay, Trevor. On the video, at least, because, the audio, it'll just sound like I'm talking to myself, and I'm okay with that. But anyway, thanks everybody out there for listening. We really do appreciate it. Thanks for coming back. Hope you missed us just enough to make you want to come back and not, wow, thank goodness those people aren't blowing up my iTunes with 3-hour shows every week. We kid. We love you guys. But remember, the show is available for download on iTunes under the podcast section, and we'd really appreciate a review to help us get the word out if you have not done so already. The show is also archived on YouTube under Ratface Productions and on Chad's channel. It's Chadillac. You can check out the website for live shows when we have them. Keep that in mind. Just go over to our website when we go live, and you'll be able to see us right there on the homepage. You can also see any information, any archives, links, and, of course, those polls we mentioned. And that website is iRacingTodayRadio.com. You can follow us on Twitter. I'm at iRacingToday, and he is at It's Chadillac.
You can send any questions, comments, and polls. Sorry, and poll suggestions.
What is wrong with you, Chad?
Nothing. And poll suggestions that you may have to feedback at iRacingTodayRadio.com. And of course, send in your pictures and specs of your cockpits of your sim rigs, or sim rigs, I guess, to that email address as well. Feel free to add Trevor and myself as friends on the iRacing.com members website if you can get it to work. If you aren't a member yet, please refer either Trevor or myself, preferably me because I'm selfish. You can enter Trevor's email, which is iRacingLegend. Oh, just kidding.
Aha.
It is ratface@gmail.com. Only kidding. It is ratface@gmail.com for Trevor. And I am iRacingLegend@gmail.com. But until next week, ladies and gentlemen, for show number 127, remember that the race is rarely won in the first turn.
But it is often lost there. Good night, everybody.